I know you heard me on the radio. Flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio. Flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.
Miami Dolphins fans, welcome to another episode of Phin-Addict Fury with Larry K. I know what you got from me yesterday, which was the game recap. And the game recaps are obviously going to be emotional. I'm going to be agitated, especially after dropping 2 in a row, especially after just going through again what this franchise seems to continue to put us through. I'm going to feel some type of way. But I wanted to come back today and just address a few things. I wanted to talk a little more cerebrally about the general landscape of the team, what's going on, the dialogue that's occurring, the different discussions, and actually just the state of the community in general. If you haven't done so yet and you enjoy Dolphins content, if you enjoyed any of my videos previously or you enjoy this video, please take just a millisecond and hit the subscribe button. It's right below me. It's easy to hit. It helps grow the channel, and I'm trying to grow the channel here. I offer a little bit of a different perspective, a little bit of a different style, and I hope people are interested enough to subscribe. Please subscribe. The community has been growing since we started it. It's grown really exponentially since I started it, and the Fury fam is an awesome group of people, and we really discuss things in a very balanced and an open way. So with that all being said, let me tell you what we're not going to do on this channel. Let me tell you what I will not do on this channel, what I refuse to do, and what this channel is not about. I'm not about taking victory laps. I'm not about going back to what people said a while ago and trying to say, told you so, or nitpick what they said, or call them out, or any of that other nonsense. This channel's about being objective, right? But being objective means that your opinion is going to evolve as new things happen in the real world, right? And I see a lot of things going on in this community, which I called out a few weeks ago when it was on the other side, where when Tua was playing very well, he was balling out, he was playing lights out, he was looking great. All of these, people say Tua-non, people say Tua-neers, you can call it what you want. All of these people started coming out and saying, well, anybody who ever questioned Tua, anybody who wasn't so sure about Tua, anybody who had reservations about Tua, you're a liar, you're a fraud, you suck, you don't know what you're talking about. What do you think of Tua now? You're a loser, blah, blah, blah. And now that Tua has had 2 really pretty bad games, to say the least, and the Dolphins are seeming to be regressing to the mean and perhaps letting us down again, which we're used to, are we not? Now you have people saying, well, I always said he sucked. He always sucked. Anybody who thought he was good is full of it. He's always been terrible. He's very limited. He's weak. Let me take a victory lap. And some are saying that folks like me who questioned Tua and then acknowledged how well he was playing and how good he was this year up to this point, are flip-floppers. We're not consistent. We're just, riding the tide wherever it takes us. Well, let me explain something about my channel and how I do things and how I operate as an objective observer and an objective commentator, right? I call it like it is. I may have an opinion. I may have a general belief, but I call it like it is as it happens, right? And anybody who calls it like it is as it happens regarding Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins would be a liar if when he was playing lights out, they said, nah, he still sucks. He still sucks. And then when he does play terribly like he has the last 2 weeks, say, no, he's great. He's great. It's even when he wins, according to the haters, even when he wins, he sucks. He only won because of something else. The defense was playing a certain defense that was beneficial to him. The supporting cast was too good. He only won because of everything else. But then when he loses, they lost because of him. And then the two-and-ears, the two-and-on people, then when he wins, it's all because of him. The team only wins because of him. But when they lose, it's not his fault. It's because of the line not playing well or a bad game plan or whatever. Here's the straight-up facts about Tua Tagovailoa right now, where we are right now. Here's the straight-up facts. Tua Tagovailoa, I had questions about him coming into the season. I didn't think he was balling out this year wrongly. I didn't think he was playing elite at an elite level this year, but I was wrong. He was playing at an elite level, okay? He was upper echelon in the league. He was playing that well. So I would acknowledge that, and I did acknowledge that. The last two games, he has played like a weak quarterback who's not ready for prime time, who chokes in the big game, who can't make things happen on his own, and I'm calling that out like it is. It's not my fault or anybody else's fault in the fan base that the most unlikely thing ever happened where a guy is literally playing. It's not smoke and mirrors. It wasn't smoke and mirrors. It wasn't trickery. The dude was playing lights out most of the year, and the dude is playing like absolute crap the last two games. That's just what it is. We don't know why. We can speculate. Was it the bye week? I don't think so, because he seemed to play good the first half against Houston. Well, he played like crap the second half of Houston. He was getting destroyed, and he hasn't been the same since. And then Teron Armstead was out last week. And now Armstead was back, not at 100%, but he had plenty of time against San Francisco. He had enough time against the Chargers. He still looked like crap. I wonder if he got hit too hard against Houston. I wonder if he started to get nervous when he got hit too hard against Houston. I wonder if he didn't trust the line anymore after that Houston second half. I wonder if that has something to do with it. I'm betting it might. He might have sustained a little bit of an injury or tweak against Houston. He seemed to be limping around a little bit. They did say he had a little bit of an injury. He was bent a little oddly in some of those things. Maybe he's getting flashbacks from earlier in the year. This is all speculation. I don't know. But something's off about the kid. And don't tell me it's because he's always sucked all year and now he's being exposed. No, he was playing great most of the year. Now he's not. He was playing great and now he's not. It's not that he was always bad and it was just some illusion, or that he was always good and this is an illusion. No, he was playing great. Now he's playing like shit. Point blank, period. We can analyze the reasons why. We can discuss the reasons why. You better hope that Tua and Mike McDaniel are analyzing the reasons why and they get it fixed. Because otherwise, this season's headed south really fast, and it's already headed south. But he was playing great, and now he's not. And you could, just the way the defenses are playing us, that could have something to do with it. San Francisco was dropping back linebackers, thwarting that middle of the field, causing him to have to throw at different angles, at different speeds, at different times that he wasn't comfortable with. But the Chargers coaching staff said they didn't follow necessarily San Francisco's blueprint in dropping the linebackers. They played a tough bump and run coverage where they were knocking the crap out of our receivers who are smaller guys and knocking them off their timing, knocking them off their routes and being physical with them. And you could see that the refs weren't calling a lot of it. I personally don't necessarily have a problem with it. Sometimes refs call a tight game where you can't get too handsy. And sometimes they call a looser game where they let the guys play. I'm usually more in the field of let the guys play. And if that affects our team negatively, well, then find a way to beat it. And you can hit a guy legally within 5 yards anyway. But I'm just here to say that don't start doing victory laps and getting on each other as a community. Oh, you were wrong because he sucks and he always sucked and I always knew it. Oh, you were wrong because he's great and he was always great and I always knew it. None of us are at fault. He was great for a stretch and he's bad for a stretch, okay? That's not anybody's fault. But people should acknowledge it rather than trying to proclaim all the time that they were always right and always claim the high ground, okay? Because when he turns around and does well again, then it's going to be the opposite. Just stop. Stop. But to discuss Tua's play, let's just knock out at least one myth right now that's going around. There's a myth going around that Tua only played well against bad teams and bad defenses, and he was exposed against good teams. That's a myth, okay? And I'll tell you why. Number one, let's go through the schedule. New England Patriots. And I'm going to try to do this off the top of my head. Let's see how good I am. See how much of a fan I am. I don't have anything in front of me. Patriots. I didn't think he had a very particularly strong game. He looked okay. I said it. People got on me. I said he didn't look great, but he did good enough to win. I said I still have faith that he'll put it all together and really look better as the season goes on. We won the game. I don't think Tua was necessarily the primary catalyst, but he did what he had to do. Week 2, Baltimore. On the road. There's a lot of people out there who continually say and can have continually pushed the myth, and it's a myth, that Tua didn't have a great game, that Baltimore just blew it at the end. But when you ask them, how did Baltimore blow it, some of the things they say are, well, the Baltimore offense sucked. Well, that got nothing to do with Tua. Our defense making stops and their offense struggling had nothing to do with Tua. Tua still had to put a lot of points together in a hurry, and he did. Other people say, oh, there was a blown coverage. Okay, one play was a blown coverage. All right, he got lucky on a blown coverage. He still found the open receiver and made it happen. But it's inaccurate to say Tua had a bad or iffy game against Baltimore, because if you watch the entire Baltimore game, and I have more than once, it wasn't like Tua was struggling terribly against Baltimore for 3 quarters and all of a sudden came back. And even if he did, the comeback still counts as a stellar performance. Do we hold that against Tom Brady or Dan Marino or any other quarterback who comes back? Actually, comebacks are one of the most notable accolades you can give a quarterback in this league, historically. But that's not even what happened in Baltimore. The defense, our defense against Baltimore, was struggling early on. Lamar Jackson ran for like a 70-yard run. He was lighting the defense up. He was playing a great game. Had nothing to do with our offense. Our offense scored early. We kept pace early until the defense just couldn't keep pace with Baltimore's offense. But Tua had a couple real nice throws. He had that beautiful read and throw on 3rd down to Mike Gesicki early on in the comeback that had nothing to do with a blown coverage, that had nothing to do with getting lucky, that had nothing to do with Baltimore dropping the ball. He had other nice throws to Craycraft. He had nice throws in that game before our defense stepped up and he lit the world on fire in the 4th quarter. But it's a misnomer to characterize that game as bad until the 4th quarter on Tua's part. That's a misnomer. He played good against Baltimore and he won, and that's a quality win against a good team on the road, a playoff team. And I'm not saying this to defend Tua. I'll get to the concerns and the worries and the recent games in a minute. But let's be accurate about this. Let's discuss this. No one's right, no one's wrong. We're just processing the information as it comes to us. And that's it. Buffalo. Tua gets his bell rung. Doesn't look great. Doesn't look bad. You know, it's a decent game. He didn't light it on fire. Buffalo's a good defense. I know they had guys out in the secondary. Okay. Still a formidable team. He's still going toe-to-toe with Josh Allen. Defense is still good. They still got guys injured. Their best pass rusher's out right now. Does that not count now? Are we supposed to mop the floor with them now because they have a guy out? Is a team supposed to mop the floor with us because we have a couple guys out? That's the NFL. They had guys out. Okay. After getting his bell rung, he steps up to the plate. He drops an absolute dime. An absolute dime in crunch time in a clutch situation to Waddle. He drives us down the field when it matters most. We win the game. He had a solid game. But he did what you want an elite quarterback to do, and he dropped a dime in a clutch situation, and he beat a division rival in a pivotal game. That's a good game, and that's a good opponent in my book. Now you go to Cincinnati. Has a pick, not great. But We score a field goal. He drives the team down the field. I was at the game in Cincinnati. I was there. It was a hostile environment. Cincinnati was pumped up, ready to play. We started from behind because we gave them the ball on the kickoff, and they drove it down and scored a touchdown. He drives the ball down, looks great, looks crisp, puts the ball in Chase Edmonds' hands in the end zone, and Chase Edmonds drops it. And Tua still looks poised. He looks like he's having a decent game. Drive before the half. I questioned him then. I'll question him now. And bad quarterbacks have good games and good throws and good plays. And good quarterbacks have bad games and bad throws and bad plays. I don't know where Tua falls in the spectrum right now, and I'll let you decide for yourself, and we'll decide for ourselves as his career goes on. But having a good game or a good drive or a bad game and a bad drive does not define everything, okay? He's got a play to make before the half. He's pressing, as everybody says, the new word pressing. He's pressing in that game, and I know why, the environment and everything that's going on. He has an avenue to run the ball. I think maybe because he got hit against Buffalo, he doesn't want to run it. He had a clear path, or he could have thrown it away. Instead, he turns around, can't get out of pressure, gets sacked, and that's the infamous concussion play. He's out. Now they lose to Cincinnati. They lose to the Jets. They lose to Minnesota. Tua comes back. He plays against Pittsburgh. Doesn't have a very good game. He looked rusty. He misses guys. Throws a couple passes, should have been picked. They don't get picked. Team finds a way to win. Tua didn't have a great game. So now you got Pats and Pitt, bad games. Let's say iffy games. Iffy games. Baltimore and Bills, good games. Okay? That's 2-2. Cincinnati, up in the air. Take it or leave it. Now I'm gonna say the next game, was that against Detroit? See, I guess I'm a fan, but not. I gotta reference really quick. That game. Let's see what it was. It was the Lions. So in the Lions, everybody says, "Oh, the Lions are so bad. Lions are hot right now." But yeah, the Lions aren't great. Okay. Lions offense was always going to be a problem, perhaps. And they've been good all year. They're still playing pretty good, the offense. The defense, not so much. But any given Sunday. Dolphins are on the road. It's not easy to win on the road. I don't care what team you're playing. Tua has a very good game. Very good game against the Lions. 3-2. I know, they're not a great team. Okay, fine. Bears. Justin Fields has a breakout game. Absolutely running up and down the field. Tua has a great game. Lights out. We win. Also on the road. In Chicago. Browns. Not a good team. We run the ball a little better, which I don't know why we're not doing that. More on that in a minute. Tua plays well. We win. Bye week. Tua says himself, he seems a little rusty, doesn't like the bye week, wish he didn't have it. Texans, we light him up in the first half. Light him up. He plays great. Teron Armstead goes out, starts getting pounded and hit and nailed. They pull him from the game. He's not doing anything, and they pull him. Ever since, he hasn't been the same. San Francisco is his absolute worst game this year, in my opinion. Because in San Francisco, Mike McDaniel and the play callers and the scheme was working. Guys were wide open against San Francisco. I know there's a whole lot of hype and hoopla. And a lot of it is from people trying to bolster Tua or maintain hopes for him or whatever it is. San Francisco, or just be happy about the season or be optimistic, glass half full, whatever you want to call it. San Francisco has a great defense, but they didn't necessarily do anything aside from dropping those linebackers back and kind of confusing him a bit to really throw the team off too bad. Despite Teron Armstead being out, Tua was pretty well protected. And this has been stated. Big O's stuck on this, and I agree with him. Tua was pretty well protected. And guys were open. So their defense wasn't necessarily stifling what we wanted to do. Tua just straight up missed guys all over the field. He just missed guys left and right. Missed them. Terrible game from Tua. I say Tua is the reason we lost that game. You can blame the defense all you want, but the defense did what it had to do for a little while. The score got out of hand late in the game. But it was a closer game than the score would indicate at the end, just like the Jets game earlier in the year. Defense did what it had to do to keep us in. Tua was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Now, Charger game, Tua wasn't great. Tua wasn't good. Tua still looked shook. He still looked like he had happy feet in the pocket. He still was missing guys. He still was throwing it into triple coverage. You don't know what the hell he's doing. That being said, Mike McDaniel had no answers. It was a bad game for Tua, but it wasn't his worst one. San Francisco was his worst one. It was a subpar game for Tua, not a good game. But Mike McDaniel and the offensive play calling deserves a lot of the blame. A lot of the blame. Armstead wasn't 100%, I get it. But San Diego, or LA, has one of the worst rushing defenses in the league, just like Cleveland. You used rushing against Cleveland. Because think about it. When these teams are dropping out these linebackers to screw up your throwing lanes, part of the reason they're doing that is because they don't think you can run. If they can stop you with their front four, or their front four can slow your running game up enough for the linebackers to recover and fill the hole eventually and make the tackle on the running back for a 2 or 3 yard gain, and they don't believe you're going to stick to the run and stay consistent for a 3, 4, 5 yards a carry, they're going to continue to drop the linebackers. You're going to have to test them when they do that by running the ball for 5, 6 yards a clip and maybe breaking off a big one now and then and march down the field running the ball. The fact we didn't attempt that with LA is ridiculous. The fact we had no answers for LA is ridiculous. And the fact that Tua was confused by San Francisco and we did nothing to rectify that going into LA is a problem. Especially when you spent the whole week together. You didn't go home. You didn't do anything else. What the hell are we doing? That's a lot on the coaching staff. And I'm not saying it's on the coaching staff to make an excuse for Tua. I'm just pointing it and calling it like it is, like I said I'll do on this channel. I'm just pointing out that the coaching staff may not be that stellar either. You can blame Tua all you want, but if you start blaming Tua, then that would necessarily follow and be inferred that you're saying you believe in the coaching staff and all they need is a new quarterback. But if the coaching staff is just as bad as Tua, then whether you throw one or the other out, you're going to have to flush the whole thing. I'm not saying to do that right now. I'm just saying you got to be consistent in your thinking. And part of the blame for yesterday goes to the coaching staff too. Not just Tua. But so there you have it. 2 big games, Baltimore and Buffalo. Tua played good, they won. 2 big games against good teams, San Francisco, LA. Tua played bad, they lost. That's just the good teams. The bad teams, which is a lot of parity in the NFL. It's any given Sunday. I don't care for that bad team thing. But, I mean, I'll allow it to an extent. You have to be fair about who the competition is. But every one of those games, he dominated. And that's not easy in the NFL no matter how you slice it. So you can't sit here and tell me if you're a Tua-neer that he's been great all year and he can always handle the pressure and you have no problem with him because these last 2 games he was terrible. And you can't tell me if you don't like Tua that he's been crap all year and he's only won against bad competition. It's simply not true. He's played great, and he's played like crap. That's the only truth. And the only people that are going to be real are going to look like flip-floppers only because we're just calling it like it is, and he's flip-flopping in his play. No one else is flip-flopping. Here's one thing we can point to, though. Over the course of his career thus far in the NFL, and this is a serious concern, and this is the thing, we're all Dolphins fans. Like, no one should want him to play like crap just to have a point proven. And no one should be attacking other fans because he has a good game. Like I said a couple videos ago, we're all in this together. We're all Dolphins fans. We should all want him to win. We should all want him to do well. All of us should want him to do well. I know I do. I'm sick of losing in December. I'm sick of getting blown out in the playoffs. Sick of going nowhere and having no hope when January rolls around. I'm so sick of it. But here's what you can say, and it's a serious, legitimate concern. Over the course of his NFL career thus far, Tua Tagovailoa has struggled mightily in the most important pivotal games at the end of the season. Last year against Tennessee, he was terrible. People put that on whatever they want, and I'm sick of it. Tua was terrible. Terrible. He looked a lot like he looked last week against San Fran. Just terrible. Just missing open guys. Now this year, 2 pivotal games in the month of December. One of them against a really tough opponent in San Francisco, but where your coach schemed guys open nonetheless, where your line stepped up despite losing their all-star left tackle. You dropped the ball. You can't hit guys who are open. And then yesterday, against LA, a team you probably should have beaten, you struggle and the coaching staff struggles. He's 0 for 3 in games off the top of my head late in the season that are pivotal. And he's not just 0 for 3 because he lost a close one or he choked on the last play or he made one bonehead interception. No, he's been absolutely pathetically bad in every single game towards the end of the year that we needed to position ourselves for the postseason. Not just not good, but outright terrible. He's been terrible in those games. And so you start to wonder, what is a franchise quarterback? Is a franchise quarterback somebody who can play well most of the season and get you to winning years, year in and year out, but not top seed winning years, just winning years with a chance to make the postseason, who puts up a bunch of glitzy stats in September, October, November, but who crumbles like a wetsuit whenever December comes around? You got a primetime game against a formidable opponent. Is that a franchise quarterback? I don't know. Some teams don't even have a quarterback that could play well in the regular season. I don't know. And then once in a while, you catch lightning in a bottle. Everything's perfect. You don't have a bunch of injuries on defense. Your offense stays healthy. You have amazing playmakers. And once in a while, you catch lightning in a bottle like, say, Jimmy G or, Trent Dilfer. And once in a while, you maybe make it to the Super Bowl. Maybe, if a miracle happens in today's day and age, maybe you win a Super Bowl. Most likely you don't. Over a 15-year stretch, once maybe you get to the dance, but you have winning seasons. Is that a franchise quarterback? I don't know. I'm asking you. Because if Stephen Ross, Magoo, thinks it is, and he's selling tickets, maybe this is the franchise quarterback. But don't expect a ton of huge wins late in the year. Don't expect a ton of championships. Or is a franchise quarterback somebody who elevates the team and you have a fighting chance year in and year out to win titles, and you go to the dance 3 or 4 times over a 15-year stretch? Is that the franchise quarterback? How many of those guys are there? How do we get one? I don't know. Because here's the thing. Tua has played great at times this year, and he's played crappy at times this year. But one thing that's really not disputable is this whole argument coming from a lot of the Tuaneers initially was, well, you need to put everything around him. He needs weapons around him. He needs pieces around him. You're not fostering him. He's not going to do well without all these pieces around him. It's one thing, and there's some merit to putting pieces around somebody. You want pieces around somebody. I understand that. Every quarterback is going to need pieces. No one can win it all without pieces. But on the other hand, you still need, if this guy's a great elite level quarterback, if this person is somebody you really believe is upper echelon, is going to take you to the next level, then you really need that guy not only to have pieces around him that elevate his play, but you need him to elevate the pieces around him. He needs to elevate great players into even better players. So Tyreek Hill is not just elevating Tua. Tua also needs to be elevating Tyreek Hill to an astronomically higher level. Elevating Jalen Waddle to an astronomically higher level. If he's an upper tier quarterback, they should be mutual. They should be elevating each other. And then when Tua has an off day, Tyreek should elevate him. And Tyreek did everything he could yesterday against LA. That's for damn sure. 2 touchdowns, did everything he could to elevate him and still couldn't come through. But when Tyreek has an off day, or the coverage is getting to him, or he's playing injured, which he was, or they're playing a different coverage that's not conducive to the wideout, or your weapons having a good game, then the quarterback needs to elevate them, and he needs to carry the team sometimes. Great quarterbacks do not need their team to constantly and perpetually be great every game for them to always have a good game. Great quarterbacks sometimes benefit from the pieces around them, but sometimes elevate the pieces around them when they're having an off day. And they will the team to victory. If Tua can't do that, then he's not the guy who's going to win us a championship. I'll tell you that right now. I'll tell you that right now. Period. And if Mike McDaniel, because I didn't even really get into it because everybody wants to talk about Tua this, Tua that, Tua. It's always going to be Tua. The team failed against LA. That wasn't just Tua. The team failed. The team failed. And that includes the coaching staff. And I said I like Mike McDaniel, but I was always worried about the hire because it seemed to me like this offensive quarterback guru, kind of a nerdy persona. I was worried, is this Adam Gase? He seemed to prove me wrong, but one of the things I called out earlier in the year, if you recall, is his use of Mike Gesicki or lack thereof, and then him deferring to, well, or his staff referring to, well, we like blocking tight ends. And I said, I don't care what he likes. He has to be able to adapt to the talent on his roster. If he's not adaptable, then he's not going to do well. And I was worried that he couldn't adapt to Mike Gesicki's skill set. It was indicative of him not being able to adapt in general. Well, now we've seen 2 weeks in a row other teams take away certain strengths or a quarterback not play well, and especially against LA, they took away the way he wanted to call the game, and he did not adjust. He failed to adjust. That seems a little bit Adam Gase-esque, doesn't it? Remember? You want to run outside zone versus inside zone with Jay Ajayi, and he cuts him and gets rid of him because he can't run the system he wants to run instead of adapting the system to a great player? Now, none of the things I'm saying, because I'm not one of these people who just jumps on and off bandwagons and just gets carried away. Yeah, after the game, any of my friends will tell you I'm an emotional fan. During the game, I'm pissed off. After the game, I'm pissed off. There's going to be a lot of hyperbole. There's going to be a lot of stuff said. But when I'm really analyzing this thing and I'm really breaking it down and I'm really talking about it, that's not how I am. So I'm not saying any of this is the case right now. There's 4 games left in this season. Now, I don't expect us to beat Buffalo. I got to be honest. I don't see it. I would love for it to happen. I'll be rooting for it to happen. I'll be watching. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But the season's not over yet. So if McDaniel and Tua can turn this around, can adjust, can rise to the occasion before the year's over, can win some of these games and pull them out, can get to the postseason, can pull out a postseason victory, or at least show that he can play to a high level in the postseason, then this conversation and some of it is moot. But if he continues to play at this level when it counts the most, or drops the next 2 games, for instance, and then plays great in junk time against the Pats, or plays a good game against the Jets but they lose and we don't make the playoffs, or whatever, plays a good game against the Pats, we sneak into the playoffs and get blown out in the first round, something like that, then this conversation is very important. And the franchise, at that point, is going to have to make a decision about Tua and the coach. Now, I see a lot of Chris Greer hate. Chris Greer might have struck out if Tua winds up failing and playing at this level the rest of the year, which I really hope not. But you really don't know. We don't know what we're going to get. We don't know. Right now, he looks like a deer in headlights. He looks terrible. if that continues and Justin Herbert goes on to keep playing well, and then this nonsense that Herbert outplayed Tua yesterday, period. He made the throws he had to make despite being under duress, despite being under pressure. He played better than him, period. If Herbert goes on to be great and Tua continues to flounder in the big moments, then yeah, Chris Grier deserves a big demerit for that, because if that was his pick, that's on him. That being said, Chris Grier, aside from that controversy, has done in my opinion, done a good job. Look at Kader Kohu. Look at some of these guys he's found. Look at the team in general and how they've been able to basically win. Aside from this terrible quarterback play against San Fran and questionable play calling and quarterback play against the Chargers. Look at Phillips. I don't know about this Chubb trade, I'll tell you. That's another demerit. If Chubb doesn't start coming on, that's a massive contract. And I don't think the price is too steep no matter what, because it's going to be a late first-round pick coming from the 49ers. A late first-round pick. Are you going to get anybody as good as Chubb? Probably somebody maybe even with Chubb if you're lucky. So I don't mind the trade. But the compensation in the contract is going to tie our hands for a while. If Bradley Chubb doesn't become a legitimate threat at pass rusher, I don't know about that move either. Then again, you might say that he's commanding enough attention that Phillips and these other guys are getting, a better run at it. And you never know how our defensive coaching staff and other things are going to evolve going forward. So I don't know. But I'm just saying, as of right now, I'm not putting negativity on Chris Grier. Chris Grier seems to have drafted a formidable team that can contend. But if the quarterback can't show up when it counts, and the coach can't show up when it counts, it really doesn't matter what kind of team he put together. So I'm not ready to go at Chris Grier yet. I haven't seen anything out of Chris Grier that really, is questionable other than maybe Tua himself, but we'll see. And I mean, if Tua plays at that high level like he's capable of, like we've seen him play, how much can you blame on Grier? And how much is this kid's mental problem with big games? So I don't know. It's a painful Monday, and it's painful in the fan base whenever this happens, because when this happens, the fan base starts to get fragmented, and the community starts fighting, and the community starts pointing fingers and doing all these things. And look, I love a lot of these guys. Big O and I have not agreed with a lot of what Big O said. I used to take a lot of shots at him. I agree with a lot of what he said. He's kept it real this year, pretty much 100. TD gave me my start on this thing. If not for TD, I wouldn't have anywhere near the subscribers or the base that I have or the platform. And I listen to all these guys. Dougley, I listen to Doug. And nobody is really wrong right now when I listen to all these guys, but I don't want to. But some people are trying to say, well, paint themselves into corners one way or another, and that I can't get down with. It reminds me of like the Tom Brady debate, right? I always said Tom Brady, because I'm a Dolphins fan, never liked Tom Brady. I always said Tom Brady is a system quarterback. He's only great because he's with Bill Belichick and he has great protection and great defense, and he's got a great team around him. And he just benefits from a great situation in New England. And I said, once Tom Brady leaves, we're going to see. Bill Belichick is going to go on and continue to be great. He's going to continue to compete at a high level. His teams are going to continue to be great. He's going to make another quarterback good. And Tom Brady's going to go off and be terrible. But the truth is, despite his year this year, he's old, this and that. Bill Belichick has not been good at all without Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, and I know he went into a great situation with the Bucs. I know. He had a lot of pieces around him. But you're seeing, just like with Tua and other guys, pieces around you doesn't always mean you win a championship. It's exceedingly difficult to win a championship in this league any year. I don't care who you are or what team you're on. The very year he left, he won a damn Super Bowl. And Belichick has been nothing since. Since then, Brady fell apart a little bit. The teams haven't been as good. He's getting old. But I got off the whole Brady was a beneficiary of Belichick because it didn't make sense anymore. It was not objective anymore. Obviously, Brady had some kind of it factor, some kind of raw competitive nature, some kind of leadership and pinpoint accuracy and whatever else he had that helped his teams win championships. as evidenced by Tampa. Well, they were good. Okay, what were they missing? Tom Brady. A guy like that, and they win. My point in bringing that up is I still have friends who still insist on hating on Tom Brady and saying, oh, he's just lucky about this. He just has a crappy division. He just has this. Still rooting against him vehemently. Still hate his guts. But they don't hate his guts for any legitimate reason or any objective purpose. They just hate his guts and root against him because they're still clinging to the fact that they irrationally thought he wasn't that good and he was benefiting from Belichick. So they want to root against him because they just irrationally and inobjectively hate the guy instead of just owning the truth that's out there and adapting and adjusting to the truth, which is that actually we had a hypothesis. My hypothesis was that Tom Brady wouldn't be good without Bill Belichick. We conducted an experiment. Brady left. Since then, my hypothesis has been proven wrong. Tom Brady was more so the better one. Bill Belichick was a beneficiary of Tom Brady, more so. I own it because it's reality. I'm not concerned about finding little ways and caveats to make myself right. I'm just owning what's happening. And what's been happening with Tua is he's been playing great and then he's been playing like crap. That's the reality. I didn't create the reality. You didn't create the reality. No one created the reality. The reality just is what it is. That's it. That's it. So, but here we are. And I'm not confident. I'm not going to lie to you. Of course I want to be proven wrong. And if I'm proven wrong, I will acknowledge it on this show. But I'm not confident. I predict a loss next Sunday. The way this team is playing, the way this guy is coaching, the way this quarterback is playing, this looks like the same old Dolphins to me. A December collapse. I got nothing optimistic to tell you. Sorry if you tuned in for that. But you shouldn't be turning into Phin-Addict Fury with Larry K for optimism or pessimism. You should be tuning into Phin-Addict Fury with Larry K for some funny rants after games and then for objective reality and good cerebral discussion. That's what you should be tuning into this channel for. So I hope I'm wrong. I probably predict we go... I mean, to be fair, though, even if we lose to Buffalo, I could still see us going 3-1 down this final game, 4-game stretch. I could see us beating Green Bay, the Jets, the Pats. That's what I predicted. I predicted us to lose to Buffalo. But going 0-3 on this road trip, I told you this road trip was going to go a long way in defining this season. I also told you that Tua had played so well that it wasn't a question about him. Well, if he struggles bad enough at the end of the year, I still don't think there's a question like you move on next year per se, because he played so damn well. He showed you so much. Like, he has the capability. It's not like there's a physical limitation or something. He has the capability to play at an all-star level. If it's mental in big games, I think you still got to find a sports psychologist or something. You got to still do something to try to get him on track because he has the potential. I don't think you get rid of him this year per se. Maybe you bring in competition. Maybe you do that. And then maybe next year he's gone. With the coaching staff, maybe with the whole regime. I don't know. He's balled out this year, but now he's terrible. It depends on how this goes. If he finishes 3-1 and we went 0-3 on that road trip, then there's a lot of questions that need answering. But if he plays well in the wins at the end of the season, then maybe some of that is sorted out. If he continues to play like crap and we win despite him, or he continues to play like crap and we don't make the postseason or we limp into the postseason, then you got legitimate questions about him too. So it's going to be an interesting road. I don't think any of us are as happy as we were. I don't think any of us are as pumped up as we were. But it is what it is. It's going to be an interesting road. I appreciate everybody joining me. Again, if you haven't done so yet, if you made it this far in the video, you must like something I'm saying or I entertain you in some way. Join Fury Fam. Hit subscribe. It's right underneath you. Smash the subscribe button. Join the family. And let's go. I'm wearing my commemorative championship ring here. I got the square. I mean, I'm awkward out. Tap subscribe. Join Fury Fam. Click the like button. Share the videos. Now, you can join me every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. We have a live show, LG Shaking the Panel, where myself, Shake Hefner, my buddy Greg, we talk about the Fins live. We get discussion in from commenters and Fury fan members, and then we open up the panel with the link, and everybody could join us live and express their thoughts about the current state of the Miami Dolphins. Please join us this Wednesday at 7. I'm sure it'll be a lively discussion. Go back and check out other videos that I've had and etc. Guys, I really appreciate you watching. Let's keep it objective. Let's keep it 100. Let's stop with the jumping back and forth and the fighting within the community if we can. Let's keep it real about Tua. He let us down the last 2 weeks. Is he going to continue to? I don't know. Let's see what happens. He's had great games, and when it counted the most, he's had bad games, and that's a serious concern if you're a Miami Dolphins fan. One last time, guys, smash that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all very soon. Fins up, even when they're down. Larry K, out.